Okay, so we're together again with season 2 of the Serenix podcast series. So hi everybody, in case you're new, this is Serenity. I talk about video games industry and its trends. I do actually a academic research on video gaming industry. I am a business management PhD student, and this is kind of my specialization area, as well as a lifelong hobby as well. So today, as the first podcast, of the new season's series, I want to actually talk about the video gaming industry overview for 2019 as of today. So I'll be talking about PC gaming, console gaming, mobile gaming, online gaming, talking about gamers demographic, talking about video content market, including the monetization, how much profits we're getting from video games, and I'll talk about esports, and obviously we'll talk about like how the gamers and game makers are distributed around the globe. So when we look at the video gaming industry on a map, we see that it is highly concentrated on the US market, China, Japan, and Central and Northern, as well as Eastern Europe, such as France, UK, maybe Germany. And these are the strongest market. Obviously, South Korea is the core of it. And then we have a secondary group of gamers and game developers, and these are from Russia, Canada, Australia. We have the next stage, which is Mexico, Brazil. We have Spain, Italy, Turkey coming, Saudi Arabia, India, Indonesia, Sweden. Poland is definitely showing significant progress, and following this we have the rest of the world, which is kind of still new to this industry. So we know that the video games market is expected to be worth over $90 billion by the end of 2020. This was approximately $80 billion in 2018. There are more than 2.5 billion video gamers all over the world today, and we know that most of them are located in Asia Pacific, which is China, predominantly in China, South Korea, Japan, and Europe, and the US. 80% of the total video game industry is revenue belongs to software sales. So by investing heavily in game companies, we know that the main giant of the games industry, which is Tencent of China, made the most revenue from games with a revenue of $7.4 billion during the first half of 2017. Riot, Activision, Blizzard are among the key investments they made. So today we know that the largest gaming market as of today is Asia Pacific. For sure it is China, Japan, South Korea. They are definitely the vanguards, the giants of the market today. So when we look at the worldwide distribution of games market revenue by segment and by stream, we noticed that online PC games is expected to take up to 50% of the global PC and console gaming revenues by the end of this year. We know that smartphones and watches are expected to take this up and exceed it in the future, because they are the next stage to come for gaming. You can't necessarily bring your PC or your console out. However, you can with your notebooks or with your MacBooks. But again, there is a certain aspect of privacy as well as compatibility issues that you might have for MacBooks. With the phones, based on research done, most users feel at ease and they feel that they're more likely to play games on their phones because it's easier, it's more convenient. You can take it everywhere. You can literally play while you're having your sandwich and your coffee in Starbucks, or even in the bathroom if you wanted. Below your desk if you wanted to give like a little break from your Pomodoro sessions, or even in the classroom in your 10 minutes break if you wanted, or you could do it literally in the office as well, if you had a little break, coffee break. So it's a lot easier than any other platform. So we know that smartphones, watches are definitely going to be dominating the market in 2020. And we could already see this with the trends of the most popular games and most played games in this past year, which were all cross-platform games such as PUBG and Fortnite and Apex. We know that the predominant reason why Fortnite was so successful was because a lot of people were able to play it on their phones as well as on their PCs at home. So the TV console and VR gaming, it's still around 25% of the games market worldwide revenue by the end of this year. However, they are kind of showing a parallel line, so there's not a significant increase, but it is almost like the same, or if not dropping. We know 76% of customers prefer to play games on mobile devices, while 62% prefer playing it on PC or Mac. 40% of customers opt to play games on online social platforms, while only 29% actually prefer using a console. So we know that the best games are still, as of today, are still shooter games and kind of scavenging games. Games that kind of merge creativity with shooting, such as Fortnite, for example, definitely dominated. So when we look at the few years, when we go like a couple of years behind in 2017/2016, Overwatch was one of the most talked games. But when we look today, it's definitely shifted from that. And again, in 2017, for example, we had Super Mario Odyssey and we had The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which were recognized as the best games of the year, as well as Ocarina of Time was chosen as the critics as the best game ever done, which kind of shows you the demographics of the video games. It is still dominated by quite youthful people, because we know that Zelda players are most of the time quite young, usually below 18 years old, although it is quite popular for older generation as well. I myself like it, but it's not a game that I would obsess over, but definitely it would be a game that I would like my children in the future to play. So we know that 52% of core PC gamers today are playing either Fortnite, Apex, or PUBG. World of Warcraft is still holding on to its spot. League of Legends is still quite big for MOBAs. And we have the Texas Hold'em Poker, which is quite popular among older generations. And we know that it had the most number of fans in 2018 with a count of 66 million fans. So it's such a big game. And we know that there's a gamer profile which is formed by people that are either retired, they're kind of like more senior in age, and they definitely want to see the games that they have been enjoying in their youth. So it's more like board games, card games, which are definitely making a comeback as we see more and more older generation joining the gaming wagon. So, so when we look at the percentages, 53% of the game developers were developing games for PCs or Macs for this year. 38% were developing games for smartphones or tablets. We know that in 2020, these numbers will probably be switching and smartphones will be dominating. PS4 is still massive with 20% to 25% of game developers developing games this year for it. Following this, we have Xbox One, and then we have the VR headsets, web browse games, which are definitely increasing. And we also had niche games in Linux, for example, which is kind of like pretty small, but it's still there. And then we had 3% with Nintendo Switch and 4% for Apple TV. The value of the video gaming industry have been steadily increasing, and it is definitely going upwards. I can't really say it's exponential just yet, but it is definitely increasing in an increasing speed. So Steam is also getting quite popular as well, especially with more people preferring playing games on PC. The Sims 3, this makes me smile actually, sold the most units and is actually recognized as the best-selling PC game of all times around the world, and it's still a cute little game that I remember from my childhood, that it's still kind of nostalgic and dear to my heart. We know that currently 34% of the Steam sales revenue is attributed to North American sales, according to Valve itself. 29% were attributed to Western Europe, which is UK and England and France. And we also know that PUBG had 550k players hourly, which was the highest hourly average number of players on Steam that we have seen. These are the numbers from 2018/2019 on GitHub. And Dota 2 also has been quite big as well. Following this, we had CSGO, and Witcher 3 was really big as well. Steam's user retention rate in last year was approximately 15%, so it is still quite strong. Okay, so as for console gaming, the value of the global gaming market was worth approximately $29 million US, which is like 4% more than the previous year. So it is still going up, but it seems like the increase has slowed down. Wii Sports was the all-time best-selling console game of last year, based on the last year's counts. And funny enough, PlayStation 2 games actually sold 158 million units last year. So it is still the most popular video game console around the world. So PS2 is still dominating the market. No wonder why, with all the people that are more interested in retro games, this is not a shocker. So Nintendo is still quite strong as well, especially for younger generations. For little children, I feel like Nintendo is the